Thanks for joining us today, sir.
No, thank you, man. It's good seeing you.
Great to see you as well.
Looking always dapper, coordinated, pocket square down to the socks and shoes. Yes,
I feel that.
You got a reputation.
Must uphold it for sure. Obviously, the NFL Hall of Fame was one of the biggest days in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the first person you thought of? What mentor and coach was the first person you thought of when you were inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Well, any person that's connected to their self and their feet are on the ground, because you can't talk about just successful people, because successful people, what they do with that success and how they acknowledge people, excuse me, that were along there for the journey is totally different. You know, for me, you know, I know it was a collaboration of people really sacrificing and really telling me the hard thing and start making me do hard things when I was younger. So for me, I knew it was, you know, people like my high school coach, Bill Conley, who kind of steered me a little bit away from basketball, not because I wasn't good, but he thought my ceiling in football was going to be a lot higher. He also explained to me the ability to be from Ohio, the state of Ohio, and play at Ohio State, especially as a wide receiver at that time, because the great receivers weren't going there, what it would do for my life. Like, he could project things into my future that were just so much more powerful than I understood at the time as a 17-year-old kid, and ended up steering and guiding me, you know, to end up being a Pro Football Hall of Famer. But my high school coach, Bill Conley, he'll blame it on someone else. But, you know, 99% of all people, athletes, you know, you need a system to be successful. Like, you just can't be a lone ranger. Now, there are talented people out there, no matter what, they're that kind of talented. They have that type of skill that they're going to be successful no matter what. But the rest of us, we need a system. So in high school, we had a good system to be able to get me to football. Ohio State created a system. Then once I got into the pros, people like Dennis Green created a system around me offensively so that I can function and take advantage of my attributes and a skill set that he thought that was unique. So yes, it takes a lot of people to be able to attain that type of success, and people have to alter their system around you to be able to protect you from the things you can't do so you can be highlighted. So yeah, my coaches really were instrumental in doing that.
Fantastic. Now, football is the ultimate team sport.
Yes.
And then the off-season grind, preseason, preparation, film study, all that goes into being successful on the field. But it's also very binary, right? You judge by wins and losses.
Yeah.
No one really cares about your off-season if you lose or win. It's defined by wins and losses. Mm-hmm. So in that process, how did you lead teammates and others through that process as one of the leaders on your team, going through a long NFL season?
All right. I think that, you know, as you go up the ladder from high school sports to college sports and then the pro sports, you try to analyze the room, and you also analyze people that have been successful in that area before you got there to try to, what are the traits, what are the attributes that they have? Because all successful people have a core number of attributes that is like, oh, she got it, he's got it. Oh, you know, so you start to be able to figure that out. So, you know, to me I watched people and I saw what kind of people were following them. Because you can't be a leader if no one's following you. And you can't be a leader and you got a bunch of people that aren't high achievers that are following you. You know, you just been ready to lead some people off of a cliff. You know, there's good leadership and there's bad leadership. You know, so in analyzing that, I always respected the veterans or the people that had been there. And then you try to do things like they do. And a lot of it, especially in pro sports, is being a great example. Like, are you going to be one of the first guys there? Are you going to, you know, traditionally, I wanted to be, when we take the physical test coming back from any camp, summer camp, I'm going to be in the top 5%. So people see that you care about the game. And, you know, being a wide receiver, you know, we're very, very selfish, you know, by nature. And I have a double portion of that. So, which in turn, you have to make yourself endearing to other players in the organization that you're not a typical wide receiver. Like, even when you watch the tape together, can you have an impact on the game when you don't have the ball? God knows you're going to have the ball an awful lot. So people see you sacrificing. People don't always just hear what you say. They watch what you do. And if you can be consistent in that, because people don't want to be led, but people need to be led.
How'd you find that balance, Cris? In other words,
it's tough.
Meaning you knew when you got the ball, you had a better chance of winning. And then finding that balance when you weren't getting the ball, because sometimes it's a shot glass and sometimes it's a rain barrel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did you manage that process, not only for yourself, but and your teammates as a leader on the team?
Well, the numbers never lie. You know, what you're doing and your productivity, they never lie. And when they call your number, especially you're watching film and you're watching tape, people see you double covered and you're still doing great work. Your teammates see that. But the number one thing is when you don't have the ball, what do you do? And when you're called to sacrifice, say we got an outside run on it, can you dominate your man in the running game just like you do in the passing game, like the offensive line? Because they will hold you accountable for that. And if you're not consistent, you know, your teammates are going to let you know that. And it will remove a certain amount of leadership if you're just not consistent. You're just a good player playing, but you're still very, very selfish.
Sure. Walter Payton, Man of the Year. How did that change your trajectory, not only as a player, but as a person? I guess I never knew the magnitude of what we were doing because we didn't do it for the notoriety. Like, I didn't know that 25 years after that, they'd still be celebrating. I didn't know that they would be giving away hundreds and thousands of dollars, you know, people that have sponsored the award. I didn't know that the NFL, Roger Goodell, when he hands the award out, he says, this is the most prestigious award in the NFL. I didn't. Yeah, because you're one of 24 players in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
That has both a Hall of Famer and Walter Payton Man of the Year.
It's, it blows your mind. But the thing about it is, like, there's rooms inside of every room. And in every aspect of life, they're giving away gold jackets. I just decided before I was a Hall of Famer that I was going to be in the charity standpoint and still do to this day, especially in the Minneapolis, Twin Cities areas, like, I'm going to have a gold jacket, even if they don't give me one. I'm going to do for the people that live in environments a lot like I grew up in. I'm going to provide services for kids in schools that I didn't have, that if I ever got myself in a position, I'm going to be able to help them. So all the work we did, all the schools, I was in the neighborhood where George Floyd was murdered. I had 4 schools in that neighborhood. So I've been in that neighborhood for 30 years. Like, I know what's capable can go down on a given day. Those were my kids. So just an impact on Minneapolis, impact on people who don't have a voice. For me, in Minneapolis too, they just embraced me. I came there with a lot of off the field problems. And lo and behold, I didn't know from a chemical dependency standpoint that Minneapolis and the Twin Cities is one of the leaders in the world. Alcoholism, treatment, the services they provide for their residents. I didn't know that. And that was kind of the hidden gem in me going from Philadelphia to Minnesota. And I had said to God, if you ever get me out of this situation that I'm in, I'll do whatever you need me to do. I'll go whatever, I'll do whatever. So that's where the community part of it. And then the Vikings came to me and they had a speaking appearance in the suburbs. It was at a very, very wealthy parochial school, fees really high. Not a lot of people in there looked like me. And I got verbally upset. And they're like, why are you upset? And I was like, what about the other kids? Like, these kind of schools have all kind of opportunities. So a lot of times you have to see the need, and then you have to create that. And when we created it, it was so organic. I never thought I was going to win. At the time, Dan Marino was building a hospital in Miami. So for me, for people to see the uniqueness to it and the magnitude of it and how competitive it is with these other players, and especially with the quarterbacks, they have so many resources. They have so many sponsors. They have so many people that get attached to their stuff because they're the quarterbacks.
Right.
But I didn't have any clue. And most people who do great things, especially from a charity component, especially for people speaking up for people who don't have a voice, and you don't get into it for the impact like
it's
that.
It's amazing that giving gives you more than what you're giving back.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that all these years later, we're still talking about it. And the prestige that it's done, for the level it's been lifted to. And every year, one of the phenomenal things that I do, I get to host a Zoom call. Well, Zoom hadn't been that long, but since the pandemic, partnership with the NFL, I get to host a call with all 32 winners and some previous winners. Troy Vincent's on the call, Roger Goodell's on the call, and every team, their recipient, and introducing them to ourselves and getting them ready to go to the Super Bowl where we announce the winner. So, I mean, the things that these kids are doing, it's phenomenal. We're feeding people in Africa, water wells. We're doing, around the world. And then especially during the pandemic, when the world was at its worst, our players were at their best. And to see that legacy continue, that's amazing, because the only way you can make stuff like that continue if you have resources. And the league is partnered with a number of people that are keeping the resources going and keeping the visibility very, very high.
That's amazing. It's special, not only for the NFL, but to continue that legacy and to be a part of that legacy.
Yeah, we try to teach the young people, any place you make money, you should give back. It's kind of like a tithe to that community, because that community, they're going to support you and you're going to make money for the first time. Now we got NIL guys that are making money before that. But when you're in that community, that be in Dallas, Minnesota, Green Bay, Detroit, wherever you are, like, you should be making an impact. In NFL, during the season, we only have one day off. And typically in Minnesota, we call it Community Tuesday. And I learned that from back at Ohio State, going to the Children's Hospital at Ohio State. That was the first thing I ever did from a charity component. And then I could see all the things that Jack Nicklaus, the legendary Buckeye, that he was doing. So that was the first time I ever got introduced. Because when you're poor, man, you are charity. Like, when you grow up in the housing project, nobody come get you and take you to the, no. These people are helping you out. Salvation Army, they feed you, give you clothes, do other services for your family. So that's how I grew up. So when I got on the other side, I really wanted to make an impact, and it's great to see what the league and the recognition of people like myself and to be included in that is phenomenal. It blows my mind.
For sure. You and I have talked about this in the past, about being an athlete, all the work, discipline, energy, effort, enthusiasm, how that's a transferable skill, right?
Yeah.
Now, what I think most people may not know is Cris Carter, the businessman. How have those skills and those experiences transitioned into your professional career as a business professional?
I think the number one thing is coaching. I've been very fortunate. I have a brother, been involved in IT, and he's always wanted to be with me in something, and very, very smart. So I had an advantage that he was always looking to get me involved in business, even when I was at the height of my career. He was like, Cris, we're going to have to do something else besides play football. And I was like, man, I don't know if you've been watching, but this football thing is working out. It's doing all right.
Quite well, I might add.
Right. So in that process, he made us look into the future and see what we wanted to do. We knew we wanted to be in the business together. And then, sometimes when you have a background like myself, it can be detrimental in introducing yourself or trying to transition into business, because a lot of times people don't respect former athletes in business because all they've done is seen them perform some type of skill and everything. So, for me, all my businesses, I've partnered with a big brother. I've partnered with an expert, so we've been in the facility maintenance business. We partnered with one of the top 5. We always do that. We were the security business. We partnered with ADT. We were in In the fire business, we partnered with GE. So when I walk into the room, you bring credibility with you. You bring resources with you. So that's the way we've been able to build it for the last 25 years. And a couple other different businesses, but we also know what we can do and what we can't do, so we try to specialize in the things that we feel like the services that we really do well.
How is your current position as a executive director of player development with Florida Atlantic? How are you enjoying that? How are you helping mentor these young men?
Right. It's an amazing experience. I think that, a lot of times you can't look into the future, but if you keep yourself current enough, the future will smack you. And what we're seeing now in college sports, we're seeing a lot of universities, a lot of coaches, a lot of personnel that are really dabbling with NFL personnel or NFL experience. Like it's going, wow, I'm in a conference, I'm in a Zoom and a text chain with Deion Sanders and a bunch of other college coaches. And I would say Deion's kind of drug me into it because he knows my character and he believes I can be very, very successful at this. So he's helped me out. He sent me some players. He's given me advice in certain areas, and a group of other coaches that you would know. I don't know if I'm going to mention them because we kind of have this secret society. Sure. Prime is cool with it. He can handle it. Yeah. And he can vouch for it. But we have a lot of other, really quality minority coaches that are trying to help out.
Mike Vick's is
Mike Vick's in there. Yeah, Deshaun Jackson's in there, and Jordan's in there. I said I wasn't gonna mention them, didn't I? But week in, week out, knowing we as a society, a football society, and now these guys are trying to coach because they love the game and the impact they can make on young people, it's unbelievable. And we're just a rare. People just think there's 100,000 pro athletes, especially football players. Like we've been playing football 105 years, and there's only 28,000 people that played in the NFL. There's only 14,000 people that played more than 4 years. So now you're starting to see these institutions, and even like North Carolina with Bill going there to be the head coach and the resources that he's bringing there and the knowledge that college is a lot like pro. So a lot of us are being drug into college. So it's amazing. It's amazing. I'm dealing with 125, 30 athletes, probably another 50, 60 people inside the organization. To me, it's about consistency and what does the next level look like for you in all areas. The nutritionists and their staff help them. People in strength training help them. Academics help the players make sure that they are really worthy degree programs and that they might have the skill set to be able to get a job with that degree compared to thousands of athletes graduating with degrees that was a wasted piece of paper.
They're all going to the league.
Yeah. Right. And they didn't hone in on the skills that it takes to be successful at something else besides sports. And one thing I tell businesses, athletes are a great target if you want people, high achievers, goal setters, people can be coached in your business. Like you should actively recruit them, and especially in your business, especially if you look at the overall attrition rate. Insurance is not sexy to young people. It should be sexier to them. It is a real way to really be wealthy. Like you can make some real money in insurance. Like it's gonna never go away. Like everybody needs just in case. Like, sure. So when you start to understand the business, and I know the insurance agency, there was a time they had targeted a lot of people like that, but I believe that sometimes you go back to things that were successful. And I do believe going forward that could just another avenue for athletes, another avenue for people like in your business, because they know how to deal with winning, losing, and, most of them are goal-oriented and high achievers. So for me, and typically they've been through a certain threshold of pain that the normal general population, they're not that tough. Everyone wants to be tough, but they are not that tough.
It's built-in resilience.
Yes, I like it. Good word. Yes. Yeah, there are a lot of traits that can make them successful on this side,
What does the next chapter look like for Cris Carter?
I don't know. I think we're going to keep doing business. If there's an opportunity, we will always keep ourselves open, with, what we might get into next. I do think with college football, it has young people involved, so I do see myself involved in college football in the future, and always trying to mentor, always trying to give back. I'm trying to get in the coffin empty. I'm trying to give away everything that I potentially might be able to contribute to society. And for younger people, being successful through my success stories and through my failures and stumbles, utilize all those things so that they can be the best version of themselves on any given day. So that's what I typically like to hold to, is something very, very simple, something you can do every single day, and anybody can do it. You control your attitude, you control your energy. So I like being around young people. It keeps me young, and they're very, very naive about a lot of different things. It's very comical to hear their perspective on life and success and how they're going to get there. But I think that's where I see myself.
Still catching touchdowns?
Well,
LFL Hall of Famer?
I'm catching them through other people. Yes. Appreciate it.
Thanks for stopping by, Cris. Appreciate you, man.
My pleasure.
Good to see you. Tune into next week's episode with CEO of Child Crisis Arizona, Tori Taj. This is TMG People First Podcast. See you next week.